Hey friends, Abaxial here with Game Jam Online. Today we're going to learn about two different kinds of cursor movement, self-hovering and target hovering, and when you want to use each of them. This is going to help us position better, react faster, and deal more damage in fights. While this lesson will primarily be about playing ranged champions, these ideas can also be applied to some melee champions, especially ones with longer range abilities. For our warm-up today, I want to really make sure your wrists are nice and loose, don't want you hurting yourself. So, hand out in front of you, wrist in extension like so. Hold this for 30 seconds. Then do the other hand. Once you're done with that, do individual fingers. So thumb, first finger, second finger. 10 seconds is fine for these, by the way. And then after that, do your ring finger and your pinky together. I don't be careful with these. They're a little bit weak. Once you're done with that, hands and fists. Roll them inwards 10 times. Roll them outwards 10 times. And finish with spreading your fingers like so. 10 times is enough. If you want to be cheeky, you want to do the Star Trek Vulcan salute like so, I'll allow it. All right, getting started. Let's head into practice tool. We're going to pick a ranged champion. I'm going to use a marksman, but a mage is fine as well, especially if you particularly like their auto attack animation. And he's one that a lot of people like. But I'm going to use Caitlyn. And I'm going to use her with these runes. Once you're in game, let's take away minion spawn so we don't have any distractions. Now, we're going to suggest that you use something other than your right click in order to attack. Okay. By default, the game has A plus click available as attack move. So let's move over a little bit. So by default, the game has A plus click enabled as attack move. So like so, either you can click on the target or you can click next to them. There's also other options in the game. So for example, you can bind auto attack to your left click, so you can do it with one action as instead of two. Or alternatively, some people like to use on this attack move click bind. They like to use a key on the keyboard, such as X. Or you can use A here as well. And thus it'll do the same thing, but with one action instead of two. I personally like to use auto attack move on my left click. The reason for all this is that we want to attack once and only once, being able to move our cursor right afterwards. If we right click, but we miss, then we have to click another time in order to get on the target. So we want to be able to do it with just one click, even if we screw up. Now, the first skill we're going to learn is called self-hovering. This is where you want to keep your cursor on your champion as much as possible. This helps you position more accurately. This helps you be try and tricky, try and dodge skill shots. So very simply, very obviously, you're going to click once and then try to get your cursor back to your champion as quickly as possible. Notice I canceled an auto attack there. That can happen if you're trying to do this quickly. Now, this is a little obvious. This is a little how, a lot of people intuitively play the game once they start getting a little bit higher in rating. But it's important to remember why we do this when we start talking about other skills as well. Now, for practice here, if you're not so used to this, then you can just go around the target dumping once or twice. But don't just click all in one direction. Try and move back and forth as you do it. Try and zigzag a little bit. When you're done, we're going to start talking about target hovering. So target hovering is when you want to prioritize target selection, but also smooth movement on yourself. So target hovering, well, if self-hovering was when you're spending time on your character, it's when you're spending time on the target. So it looks something like this. Now, on one target dummy, that seems a little obvious, but what if I put in 2? So now I'm going to move around. Make sure I choose the one I want. In order to make this an exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to alternate which one we hit, but we're going to hover on the other one first. So I'm going to start on for the left one right here, and then I'm going to move to the right one at the last second as I get ready to hit. Thinking about, someone else coming into range, needing to switch your target as you move. So like so. Alternating. 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 Try and move around the target dummy as you do this. And try and have, this consciousness of where your cursor is. You can make it more difficult by adding in 3 target dummies. You can do 1 each time. And then once you're ready, start doing alternating. Or start moving at the last second. So, like so. So that's target hovering. Now, you may have noticed as we do that your timing is a little bit more precise as we do target hovering. We're going to demonstrate that for you a little bit more by going back to the shop, buying some items. So here, I'm going to buy a fair bit of attack speed. I'm going to buy, add some gold. I'm going to add Berserker Greaves. I'm going to buy a Gale Force. And I'm going to buy a Rapid Fire Cannon. So that puts me at, let's see here, 1.25 attacks per second. So what's that look like here? Reasonably fast. Now, if I do this with self-hovering all the time, okay, it looks okay. But there's a bit of inconsistency with how we move up each time. And depending on where we are in the screen, if we're trying to do big movements, our timing isn't going to be perfect. When we use target hovering, though, our timing is going to be much more precise. And the difference is small, but it is noticeable. You're not making a movement at the last moment. You're instead already having your mouse there, or at least if you're switching around, you at least already have your mouse in the same area. It's a lot easier not to misclick, to be quite frank. So that's self-hovering versus target hovering. For our last exercise, we're going to learn about a bit of a secret mechanic in the game. It's a lag compensation, and it's actually something we want to avoid. You'll notice here I've sold my items. This is a little easier to demonstrate without attack speed. So what I'm going to do here, well, I'm going to attack this target dummy from maximum range. So right now I'm a little outside. I'm going to walk up, start clicking. Okay, we're attacking from maximum range, 650. Now, as long as I'm issuing my auto attack commands when Caitlyn's auto attack is definitely ready, then I'm going to stay at max range. However, if I issue a command when the auto attack is not ready, then it's going to move me closer. Watch what happens. I'm going to click on the target dummy, click behind myself, then click back on the target dummy relatively quickly, like so. So because the second one was done before Caitlyn's auto attack was ready, it moved me closer. This is meant to help sort of new players who, don't understand the game so well, help them still feel, they're getting their auto attacks off. However, for you, who's experienced and knowledgeable and working with the game gym, well, you're playing a ranged champion. You want to attack from your full range so people can't hit you. So how do we avoid this? Well, there's 2 ways. We can either use the S key in between auto attacks, or we can just simply make sure that our auto attack is always up. We maybe play it a little bit on the safe side when it comes to auto attacks. don't try to, be doing it very quickly. Like so, don't pause ourselves. This is a good habit to have anyways, just because, well, you want to move between your auto attacks as well. So I want you to actually replicate that. I want you to do the same exercise where you put yourself at max range and then try and deliberately cancel it. Try and feel that difference. So after you do that, then try and make sure you feel what it's like to not attack early. All right, game time. Now we're going to play with an awareness of our cursor. We're going to be choosing it every moment, whether in lane or out of lane, whether it's best to self-hover or target hover. Do you focus on maximum safety or maximum damage? Experience will give you the answer. Since this is not necessarily a goal that can be forced at the start of the game, you may want to put a sticky note on your monitor or have some other physical reminder to help you focus on it during the game. Now, speaking more in general here, getting good auto spacing, awareness of your cursor, this doesn't happen overnight, so accept that you might make a few misclicks, you might screw up as you try to change how you play. Also, these clicks, they don't show up in your replays, so if you have a good enough computer to run recording software such as OBS, Low-Key, try and use that to try and see your clicks during the game, try and figure out what else you could have done. With that said, well, good luck and thank you for being with us.